How was that? That was good?
Yeah, that was great.
Most people know that famous quote from the 1983 classic film, A Christmas Story, which tells the tale of a boy named Ralphie and his desire to get an official Red Ryder carbon action 200 shot range model air rifle with a compass in the stock and this thing that tells time. Though it wasn't a huge hit upon its release, the movie has become a beloved holiday tradition for people to watch religiously every year, especially my co-host, Mitch. Tell everybody how much this movie means to you.
Well, it's not Christmas until I've watched this at least 10 times. I grew up watching it. My grandfather showed it to me. He loved it. My whole family loves it. It's just a tradition. We always watch it. And I just feel like nothing can compare to it. It's hilarious. It's a beautiful, very American Christmas movie.
That was so touching, Mitch. So after a few decades, we finally got a sequel. And that's the 2012 A Christmas Story 2.
Yeah, who could forget?
That film had no one from the original cast and it's pretty much hated by fans of the original, as well as people who would be considered the least credible critics in the industry hate that movie too. So we needed a true sequel, right, Mitch? So they said, well, we'll get on that in 10 years. And then nearly 40 years since their first movie, we finally get this film, A Christmas Story Christmas, which actually stars Peter Billingsley, reprising his role as Ralphie Parker. Now all grown up with a wife and kids. This takes place in 1973. Ralphie and his family travel back to his parents' home in Indiana, where he is tasked by his mother to create the perfect family Christmas for everyone. So basically, he's the Clark Griswold of this film, but the only difference is this has been thrusted upon him to do. So we're actually going to review this movie, and when me and Mitch first saw the trailer, we both had these different concerns. So my concern was that this new movie was going to be too modernized, and it's going to have like a lot of slapstick humor, which would lack the wholesomeness of the original. But after watching this one, I will say there is physical comedy in it, but it didn't feel too over the top or really too implausible.
No, yeah, I'd agree with that because the first one had some physical humor in there, so you still have to have that because it's supposed to be a little out there. But yeah, I mean, I think all the examples of that just worked. Like I wasn't like, oh, that's too goofy, or if it was goofy, it was in like a flashback or when Ralphie zones out. So I love that he still does in his adult years. He still just does that thing where he zones out the window and they're like, Ralphie.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that you were worried about, that you thought there'd be like a lot of callbacks or references to the first film, which they really didn't make it obvious in the trailer. But you were able to pick up on that was going to happen, and it did. So like, how did you feel about all the like references and stuff?
I don't know if it was just like the mood I was in or I was excited for it, but I was fine with it. They did like some callbacks more subtly and some way more in your face. One of the subtle ones I really appreciated was he takes them to look in like the same store window that he looked in when he was a kid, but like in the very first shot of that there is like a little girl with her face like fully smushed against the glass, just like his little brother, the first one. And I was like, all right, that's cute. I think for the most part it worked, but it's interesting that like everyone kind of stayed in the town and Scott Farkas is a goddamn cop. Like I was like, of course that would happen.
Yeah, they kept some of the references really like low key. For the most part, when they did do a full in your face reference, it was intricate to the plot, so it didn't really ruin anything. So I'm going to get to one of my issues with the movie, the look of the film, and I'm going to try my best not to compare so much throughout this review, but the original movie looks like it was shot in the 40s. This movie did not feel like 1973. It looked like it literally came out in 2022 and they were cosplaying the outfits or like the scenery.
Yeah, if one of them took out a phone like in the middle of like a scene and was like scrolling through it, I probably wouldn't have even like noticed that it was like something was wrong,
Yeah. And I think by doing it that way, it ruins any chance of this movie being timeless. That is a small nitpick. I'm not jumping on this too much. You want to get into the cast?
Yeah, they did a good job of bringing like most people back. It seems. Even uh, what's his name?
Randy, Randy.
Randy. In my mind, I was like, I don't think he's gonna be in this movie, but he was, and that was a cool surprise. Schwartz and Flick, so cool having them back. Like Scott Farkus looks exactly the same.
Yeah. Shockingly, they even got his sidekick, the little toad, Grover
Yeah.
Dill, the actual kid. I'm like
Yeah.
that can't be him. It looks like him, but no way. But like I sure enough, I researched him. It was him. Flicks in the movie, like you said, and seeing how he looks now, I'm still shocked that he did porn in the 90s.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but at the same time, so did Ron Jeremy's, and it's not like he's like a looker, so whatever. Only issue when it comes to like getting the original cast were some people. They had Julie Haggerty, who you might remember from the Airplane movies. She plays Ralphie's mother, who was originally played by the actress Melinda Dillon, who I believe retired. What did you think of her?
I thought she did a good job. I think for what she was given, it's like such like a recognizable role. Like, it's the mom from the Christmas Story. There's so many good bits with her. So for her to even step up and do that, I think she did a good job.
Yeah, she did fine. I thought the kids sucked in the movie though. All the kids were terrible. I know I probably shouldn't like go hard on children, but they knew what they were getting into when they took the role, getting roasted by puppets. They were just too precocious, like those kids you see in modern movies nowadays where their vocabulary is like extraordinary and they're always got some like witty comeback thing to say. And they just weren't interesting with their subplot at all.
I could have done without that stuff. Like I don't know. I was excited for them when they stood up to the bully that kept destroying their snowmen. But you're right. Like a lot of these modern movies, it's just like clever kid, and they're really smart, and they can figure all these things out, and it's just like I don't know.
The kids from the original were better, and I did
Yeah.
it again,
Oh,
comparing the two, but they seem like kids, with their conversations and all that. So Gene Shepard, got to talk about him. He was the narrator of the original Christmas Story, and since he passed away in 1999, Peter Billingsley is like doing the narration in this new one, and I thought he did a decent job in this movie. He's like the struggling writer, but I thought that after he got that C+ on his like theme in the original movie, I thought that was a clear sign that he's not cut out to be a writer. But what's actually weird about it, when he's narrating, similar to like the original, his wordplay and his poetic way of describing things is so intricate. It's like, how are you not getting any publishers for your stories? Like you can convey like these scenes so well, but no one wants to take your scripts. That's kind of shocking to me. But yeah, it's just a funny plot that didn't really bog down the movie too much. I don't think it was just something to like add to his stress of making this perfect Christmas, which of course in these kind of movies, everything is going wrong throughout. But we have to say about the other actor that's not in this movie that was in the original, the actor that played his old man has also passed away. And I just know him as Billy Madison's dad. I really should learn his real name. But I thought they did a really, really good tribute to him in this film.
Oh yeah, it was like about him, like and the whole reason they were there, and I thought it was a very sweet.
They were saying that, we got to make this Christmas as perfect as your father used to do. And I'm like, he never struck me as the type of person that gave a shit about Christmas. I thought all that dude cared about was having his dinner ready on time, his furnace working, and his leg lamp shining in the living room window. He never seemed like Christmas was like a big deal to him. Like him driving back after getting the Christmas tree in the original movie, and the mom and the kids are just screaming jingle bells. You look at his face, it looks like if I could just drive this car off a cliff right now. This actually is more of a review for Mitch. So I would like to hear some more pros and cons you have about this sequel.
The slight cons I had, it's like really not much. It was fun, I think it's definitely for the people who are fans of the first one, that's for sure, because it's just basically all callbacks to that. But all around, it's a cute Christmas movie. I don't think it's gonna like stand the test of time. It's not gonna be like oh yeah, I watched Christmas Story. Oh, I have to watch the sequel now. Like it's just like, yeah, like if it's on, maybe I'll watch it. I'm not gonna like seek out to, I guess, because I'm just gonna watch the first one a bunch of times, like I usually do.
Yeah, that's what it really comes down to. This movie is not going to replace the first one, but I thought this could have been like a bad Christmas film, like ones that usually are starring Vince Vaughn. And actually, Vince Vaughn helped produce this movie along with Peter. And usually that's a bad sign because have you seen Four Christmases
No, I haven't actually.
or Couples Retreat?
Nah.
God bless you, man. So this movie was surprisingly bearable with some funny, charming moments, and the plot was also suitable. So we're both saying the same thing. Don't expect it to even come close to the original. Like just look at it as like a continuation of the story. So the rating I decided to give this is I'm going to give it 534 out of 785 Smelly Bumpus's Hounds. What would you rate it?
In terms of Bumpus's Hounds,
You can think of your own thing. Don't bite off me, dude.
that's a good one though. Out of waiters at a Chinese restaurant singing Jingle Bells to me, I would rate it. I'd say 7 waiters out of 10.
Okay. All right. So we're both kind of in the same thing, but let us know what you thought of this long-awaited official sequel to A Christmas Story. And be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
A crummy commercial? Son of a...
Like and subscribe, folks.